Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel, and today we have another video from the Lucchini Gambit. So we're going to be playing most of these traps as black, so it's e4 and e5, so it's the king's pawn opening, as you can see. And from here we have knight to f3 and knight to c6, which is the king's knight's variation, so developing the knight. So white plans to attack these central squares and to attack this pawn and to attack this dark square here. Whereas black attacks this dark square and defends the pawn, and also defends these dark squares here. So, from here we have a bishop to c5, bishop to c4, sorry, which is the bishop's opening, and we have bishop to c5. So the point is, white is attacking this weak f7 square, as you should know. So you can't actually move to g5 yet, you'd have to push forwards with this pawn, as the queen will simply capture. But the point is, this is the weakest pawn for black, and this is the weakest pawn for white, so double attacking this pawn will be very dangerous, so it will cause a lot of attacks, especially on this rook and queen. So it's causing a threat onto this f7 pawn. So bishop to c5 does the same, but attacks this f2 pawn, so in the future maybe these moves can be played, knight to f6, knight to g4 to attack this f2 pawn. Now we have d3, so the bishop is developed along this diagonal, and it allows the movement of g5, so this pawn will be double attacked. So, from here we have f5 of the pawn, so pushing forward, so attacking the centre. And in all the videos so far we have seen that this pawn has declined the gambit, so not by taking on f5. So, usually white declines the gambit, so instead they play knight to g5, which double attacks this square with the bishop and the knight, so the queen is in danger alongside this rook. So now the point is we have f4. So now we have a pawn chain, and also this knight can be captured without the bishop recapturing this knight. So this knight is undefended now. So if we have bishop to f7 with check, then simply we can't capture with the king, as you should see. We can't capture. So you might have been thinking, why can't you play knight to f7 with this fork? Well, we have seen the queen to h4 from the previous video. So going back, if we have the bishop to f7, we're going to change it round. So if the bishop tries to attack this f7 square now, then we're going to move the king to f8, which is one of the only options, alongside this e7 move. And from here, the point is this bishop is hanging alongside this knight, and this knight has to be defended somehow. So you could play pawn to h4, you could play queen to h5, or you could just trade in. So if the bishop trades for the knight with bishop captures on g8, then from here, if we have queen captures on g5, the point is, after the bishop retreats, as it will be recaptured soon, if the bishop retreats to this original square with an attack on the knight, back to d5, then simply we can recapture on g2, and this knight is rook is threatened. So the point is, you'd have to move the king forwards in this position to one of these squares here to defend this rook. But if you move to this square here, this pawn's going to get recaptured. So the best move is to play here is simply this. But then on the other hand, you get checkmated. So going back in this position, if the king moves to this square here, you're simply going to gain a pawn from here. And this is similar to one of the previous videos, as you'll eventually end up in a checkmate, as this king is going to end up into the open here, as you can see. So going back in this position here, so if the rook decides to move instead, so instead of moving the king, we just saw that's a bad idea. If the rook is moved to the f1 square, then we're simply going to regain some material. And the point is, you could sacrifice the bishop in this position and maybe give check like so. And eventually when the king moves to the open, to any of these squares, you can take the rook in this position. So it's a very bad position from white. So hopefully you've enjoyed this video from Lucchini Gambit. Please like and subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you in the next video.